restaurant one Saturday morning, and it was very crowded, and there was only one seat at the counter. I sat down, there was a young girl sitting next to me. I'm 19, she was probably about 17. So we started talking, and come to find out we both lived in basically about 3 blocks from town. And she lived 5 blocks from town, I lived about 3. So when we were walking home, she saw where I lived, but she would go 2 blocks further, so I didn't know exactly where she lived. And so we started meeting on Saturdays and Sundays in downtown, we'd walk home. So she always knew where I lived, but I didn't know it. So I'm not going to go into that. So I said, okay, because it sounded interesting. She said, no, my dad's very interesting man. He wants to talk to you. So I went over, and as I was walking up to her house, the first time I'd ever been there, he happened by chance to be coming out the front door. And the moment I saw him, with an immediacy, my spirit knew that this was not a normal man. I felt it, and I cannot explain the kind of feeling that he gave me, but I just knew. I said, wow, whatever this is, I'm feeling it off of him. And I watched his mannerisms. The one thing I picked up on him immediately was that this man was in total control. He knew precisely what he was doing, and he moved in a very strange, methodical way. And he said, come on in. So I went in, I was going in with my girlfriend, and we went in and sat down. And my girlfriend had a younger sister, so the 2 of them sat on the floor on each side of the fireplace. I'm sitting on the sofa with him. He's on one side and I'm on the other. The mother's in the kitchen. And he's talking to me, how do you like living in California, and how do you like your job, etc., etc. We're just making small talk. And I began to feel a little bit more at ease with him. And I liked him, but there's something strange about him, right? And so we're talking, and all of a sudden he says to me, very coolly, he says, remember back in Florida, when you were 8 years old and your dad built a new back porch? Remember the new back porch he built, and he built it out of green lumber, and it smelled funny? And remember one night when you were in bed, you got up and you went out the back porch, and you sat there and peeled. Remember how you peeled the wood because it smelled funny, it was green lumber? And you go picking your teeth with it and smelling it because it was green lumber. He said, remember when you did that? And I didn't want to show tears in front of my girlfriend, and it frightened me. And he knew it. And he said, well, did that happen or didn't it? And I said, yes, that happened. And he said, well, how did I know that? I said, I don't know how you know that. He said, I know that because we were there. We saw you, but you didn't see us, did you?
We?
That's right. And tears started coming to my eyes because it was frightening, because of the way he presented it with such power. And this guy was in control. And he's, and you could tell, I don't know who this man is, but whoever he is, he represents a very powerful force. And I was scared. And he says, well, didn't you sit on the back porch? Yes. And he said, what did you do when you were sitting on the back porch? You were told to be in bed. You looked at the moon, and the moon was full, wasn't it? And I said, yes. And he said, and what did you do? You talked to God, didn't you? And you asked God to let you do something of importance with your life, didn't you? And I said, yes, I did. He said, well, we're going to give you an opportunity then. Because after all, you did ask, so we're going to give you a shot at it. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, you're not supposed to. And he said, well, why are you here in California? And I said, I have no idea in the world. I just came. He said, no. You're here because we brought you here. We have something for you to do, but it won't be till later on in your life, so don't worry about it. And he said, now where you're from, we know that you've always been interested in UFOs and all that kind of subject of aliens and all that kind of thing, right? And I said, yes, and because where I'm from was from Gulf Breeze, Florida. Gulf Breeze is very famous. That's where I was born and raised. And I used to have all kinds of strange experiences in my life as a small child. And he said, well, you did ask God to do something, let you do something with your life, so we've decided to allow you to do that. And he said, so we're going to train you, and I want you to read this book. And he said, I'm going to give you a book, and I want you to read it, and we're going to train you, and later on in your life, we will put you where we want you to be, because you're here in California because we brought you here. And we have something for you to do, but we have to train you first. And it was just an extraordinary evening listening to this guy. I was scared, tears, fright, wild imagination.
What was your girlfriend doing?
She was sitting there just calm and collected, like, and when I looked at her,
Did she expect this?
As he's talking to me, I'm looking at her, and she's smiling as if to say, yeah, I told you, that's him. And so then he said, you are interested in UFOs? I said, yes, I am. He said, you want to see some tonight? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. He said, well, come with me. So we went outside. This is North Hollywood, 1959. We went out in the front yard. It was probably 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And he looks up in the sky and he starts talking inaudibly. You can't hear him, but he's moving his mouth and obviously talking. And so I'm looking over at my girlfriend and her sister, and then he turns and he says to me, he said, they said they'll be here in just a few moments. They'll be coming from that mountain over there by Griffith Park. And they'll be here in a few minutes. And I said, who's they? He says, you'll see. And I stood there looking at my girlfriend and him and thinking, what is going on here with this man? And sure enough, a couple of minutes later, 3 beautiful, gorgeous, disc-shaped things came over, and it looked like a pie cut in 6 or 8 slices, and each slice is a different color. And it's circulating, but not so fast as to blend the colors, but circulating beautiful, almost laser color. Beautiful colors. 3 of them in a triangle formation. They came over, and as they came, he stopped, and he started talking to them inaudibly again. And he says, well, that's us. And I said, what do you mean that's us? What is this? And he said, we're here, and you're here now with us. We brought you here to do something. And then he talked with them, and he said, they're saying that they were going now. They're leaving. And they did. They started going on over, and it was made no sound whatsoever. 3 beautiful, glowing, saucer-shaped things. And as they left, I felt an overwhelming feeling. I don't know what this is. I have no idea what's going on here. But it's totally out of control, because this man knows stuff that he's not supposed to know. He's showing me things that are extraordinary, and he changed my life that night. And,
did you ever go back and talk with him?
Yes, and for 2 or 3 times, I didn't want to continue to bother him, but I just couldn't get enough of this guy, so I would go over on Saturday mornings, hoping that he would still have some time. And so we would go out, and a couple of times we went out to Palmdale and go way out into the desert. This is back in '59, there's not much out there. And we would go out walking, his wife and the 2 girls and myself. And we would go out walking, he would tell me about the different aliens who were here, and the different kinds of aliens, and where they come from. And I'm a 19-year-old kid, I don't know what he's talking about, but I love it. I can't get enough of this guy. And he's telling me about the reptilian aliens as opposed to this group and that group, and some are our friends and some are the enemies. And some of them, he said, were under the earth, and some were above the earth, and they looked like us, etc. And then one day I went over on a Saturday morning to see him, and the house was totally empty. It's gone. They never said, the girl never came to tell me she was going. Nothing. It's just gone forever and ever.
That's weird. Wow. Amazing story. And when coming from someone you know and trust, that's weird.